Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 11, text 38. Tvamadideva Purushah Puranaha Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam Vettasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dhama Tvaya Tatam Vishwam Anantarupa. So Arjuna is praying, O Krishna, Tvam Adidevaha, you are the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purushaha, Adidevaha, Purushaha, the personality, you are not impersonal. Puranaha, you are the oldest personality. And Tvam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam, this universes, Asya Vishwasya, you are the transcendental refuge. Param Nidhanam. You are the knower of everything. Vettasi, and you are the ultimate knowable. Vedyam cha, and you are transcendental. Param, transcendental to these three modes. Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. And Dhama, you are the refuge of everything. Tvaya tatam vishvam ananta rupa. By your unlimited form, this universe is completely pervaded. So Tvam Adi Devaha, you are the original personality of Godhead. It indicates that Krishna is the origin of all the Vishnu expansions. This material world is governed by three Vishnu Murtis. The Vishnu Murti who creates the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, the Purusha Sukta prayers, they glorify this Karanodakashayi Vishnu incarnation, expansion. And then when he creates these innumerable universes, he expands and goes into each of them as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then eventually he expands further into Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who even enters each and everyone's hearts and each and every atom within the universe. But even this Vishnu Murtis, Vishnu expansions, they are portions of plenary portions of Krishna. It is said in Brahma Samhita. Yah karanarnava jale bhajati sma yoga nidra mananta jagadanda saroma kupaha adhara shaktim avalambya param swamurtim govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So they are all expansions of Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate source. Ite chamsha kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Bhagavatam also confirms. So that is why it is said Krishna is Adi Devaha, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they are continuing performing their pastimes in a way that Krishna has designated. The Lord has his own pastimes in the spiritual world, but as his expansions, he manifests his Leela in this material manifestation. So he is Tvam Adi Devaha, Purushaha, and then Purushaha, personality. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. A lot of commentators and spiritual groups, they try to project the Absolute Truth as impersonal. Even great scholars who have taken up huge positions in India, very well respected, they also try to speculate and interpret that ultimately the absolute truth is impersonal. Krishna is just a form of that impersonal absolute truth. Ultimately, God is impersonal. But that is why, if you properly understand Bhagavad Gita, he is a person. So many places Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. Here also he is confirming. Purushaha, Arjuna is confirming. You are the Purusha personality. It is impossible to think of him as impersonal and formless. Kleshodikatarastesham. It's very difficult. So that is why it is said Purusha and Purana. Purana means he is the oldest, but still he is the youngest. Even though he is Purana Purusha, but still you see the picture of Krishna, you will see him just like a boy of 22, 25 years old. He looks so beautiful. Even Prabhupada said during the Kurukshetra battle, he was about 125 years old, but still he looked so young. That is a sign of God. Advaitam anadi rupam adyam purana purusham navayavvanam cha. So purana purusham at the same time navayavvanam. Because from God everyone has been born. He is the original person. Adyam purana purusham navayavvanam. There was one devotee, a Westerner. He became a devotee later. He was from Europe. This was in more than a century ago, during Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's times. So he came to the Gaudiya Vaishnava temple, the Gaudiya Mata temple. And then the devotees were asking his who he is and all that. He said he's very interested in spirituality. He heard that in India there is a lot of spirituality, so he came to find out. And he wanted to find out whether God is a person, and if so, who it is. And then they asked, "How? What did you conclude finally?" He said, "I concluded that Krishna is the supreme God." And then they asked him, "How did you conclude?" And he said, "I visited a lot of places, lot of temples, and wherever I went, the chief personality who is worshipped in the temple, he is in the form of meditation. He is concentrating on something, or he is busy working on something, either the pictures or the deity form itself. But only when I went to Krishna's temple, I see Krishna is always enjoying. He is not meditating on something. He doesn't have a worry. He doesn't have a task that he has to do. So God must be like that. God must be the original enjoyer, original controller. He must not be meditating on somebody. He must not be working for somebody. And then they really appreciated how his thought process was absolutely correct. So this is the greatness of our Vaishnava Acharyas, who explained, particularly Srila Prabhupada, the way he presented the Supreme Personality of Godhead. God must be the ultimate of everything. He is the ultimate enjoyer. He must be the ultimate controller. If he also works hard and he also is taking trouble and appearing distressed, there is no meaning to God. God must be all enjoyer and all happy, all blissful. So that is Krishna. As Krishna is the oldest Purana Purusha, his knowledge is also as eternal. And his movement, the Hare Krishna movement, this is something not new. We are not manufacturing. This is the eternal Sanatana Dharma that Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are distributing eternally in innumerable universes. And we happen to be very fortunate to receive it. This is the Sanatana Dharma, the original religion The original dharma of the living entity is to be a devotee of Krishna. Jivera swarupa hai Krishnera nityadas. And then param nidhanam, Krishna is the ultimate rest. Even the Brahman effulgence rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prabhupada writes. So, even the Brahmajyoti that the impersonalists, the Mayavadis worship, that is also resting on the body of Krishna, the bodily effulgence of Krishna, that is. So, he is the shelter of even Brahman effulgence. He is the shelter of this universes, of everything. And so, there was one conversation I wanted to highlight where there was one professor, a very knowledgeable person. He came. He said, he spoke to Srila Prabhupada. He said, okay, as far as Indians are concerned, everyone accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I'm very impressed with the sincerity of these young American men. And then Prabhupada said, because they also accepted. And then Prabhupada said, yeah, as soon as anyone understands the science of Krishna consciousness, he will accept the truth immediately. And then he, Mr. Keating, his name is Keating, he asked, what is the definition of God? And he read somewhere that God is like a thread which links one good person to another. And then Prabhupada said, yes, just like you have a pearl necklace and it is strung on a thread. So all these pearls are resting on the thread. Everyone is resting in God. Not that only good men should be resting on that. So that means God is the resting place of everything, everyone, not just human beings, animals, the trees, the smallest insects, the chara and achara, moving and non moving, the devatas, the matter, everything rests on Krishna. But if you see in this material world, we don't see Krishna. We only see matter, we only see people. There is so much predominance of materialism. Just like when you see a pearl necklace, it is so beautiful, isn't it? But in the background, there is a thread that is a support for all these pearls. Without the thread, these pearls cannot stand, cannot make into a beautiful necklace. So God is the Param Nidhanam. Krishna is the original source. A really intelligent person understands that. Who is holding up all these things? Who is holding up this universe? Who is holding up these planets? So that is God. So he is the Param Nidhanam and he is the Vetta, he is the knower of everything and Vedyam. If knowledge has any end, he is the end of all knowledge. That is why it is said, Yasmin Vignate Sarvam Evam Vignatam Bhavanti. If you understand the science of Krishna consciousness, there is nothing else left for you to be known. This is the meaning of knowing Krishna means knowing everything. Because if Krishna is with you, if you are in the sun, there is no need for, there is no darkness at all. Usually we try to find small lights, a torch light, or try to light a lamp, or try to put on electricity when there is darkness. But in the daytime, you are in the sun, there is no darkness at all. There is no need for any smaller avenues of light. You are already in the big light. So one disciple was asking Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra, There is Vedanta Sutra, which is the culmination of all the Vedas. Or Vyasadeva, he has given the Vedic literature. And finally, he gave Vedanta Sutra, which is like the aphorisms or the sutras, the principles mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra or mentioned in the Vedas as some formulas. So, and then the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra. So, this disciple is asking, Srila Prabhupada, is the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra and the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam or one and the same? Srila Prabhupada said, yes. And he said, you find this verse. Prabhupada asked him to refer to this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.10. कामस्यनेन्द्रिय प्रीतिर लाभो जीवेत यावत जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः. So what it says is, life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. So, this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam proceeds directly from Vedanta Sutra, which says, Athato Brahma Jignasa. Having attained this human form, now you inquire into Brahman, Athato Brahma Jignasa. And the same thing is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, that Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. What is that? Don't be entrapped with these temporary bodily necessities of life or sense gratification. You must inquire about the absolute truth. And the next verse of Srimad Bhagavatam says, what is that absolute truth? Okay, you said you inquire. Human life is meant for inquiry. So, what is absolute truth? What is that tattva? And Bhagavatam next verse 1.2.11 explains. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. Those who know the absolute truth describe him in this way as all pervading Brahman, as Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the ultimate truth. So, the Supreme Krishna, the absolute truth is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the ultimate Tattva. And one who knows that truth is Tattvavit. He is a Tattvavit. He understands that that same absolute truth is there as Paramatma in the heart, is there as all pervading effulgence. So if you have come to that highest point, you will worship the Supreme Personality. If you have not advanced so much, that is why people are stuck, even though they may be spiritualists, they are stuck at lower levels of worshipping God as impersonal effulgence. Or next highest level is as worshipping God as Paramatma. Only when you come to that highest level, then you'll worship God as a person. Now, when Bhagavatam says life's purpose is not sense gratification, but to inquire, does it mean spiritual life means only regulation, only inquiry, but in general people want enjoyment? Life is meant for enjoyment. Then what about that? Is there such enjoyment in the spiritual life? So typically, people make this mistake of thinking spiritual life means no enjoyment. What the Shastra is actually saying is, in this material world, let's say somebody is suffering from fever. So, a person having fever, you go and give him nice feast. Will he be able to enjoy? He is not even able to get up and breathe and drink and see properly. And now, what to speak of eating a feast? And that is more suffering for him. The thought of that meal in front of him is more suffering. And even if he eats, tries to eat, it tastes so bitter, isn't it? It's like a punishment. And it will increase his fever further. So if he thinks, let me enjoy, and he eats, or he takes something which is forbidden, that is going to aggravate his problem. So the scriptures say that's the thing. This material world, everyone is feverish. And in that feverish condition, they are trying to enjoy. And that is making them more feverish, more contaminated, more suffering. So the right enjoyment for a feverish person is, first, he has to work on getting rid of the fever, isn't it? Then he can again enjoy. It's not that enjoyment is not there, but first, before he can enjoy with his proper healthy senses, he need to cure his diseased senses. So this material world, this material body that we have is considered diseased because we are hankering for sense gratification. Just like a criminal is put in a jail. Why? Because he is considered diseased in the sense his mentality is that he want to exploit others' property, isn't it? For himself. So that's why his disease or his condition needs to be reformed. So when our mentality is let me enjoy everything for myself. This property, this material world is not mine. I'm trying to grab and enjoy as much as I can. And what to speak of committing grossly sinful activities for enjoyment, even more sinful. So this is our diseased mindset. So until that mentality is not cured, we cannot enjoy. That fever has to be cured, and then we can enjoy. There is Brahma Saukyam Anantam. When that fever is cured, there is so much of nectar, so much of enjoyment. You see, you study Krishna's activities in Bhagavatam. The associates of Krishna, they are not sitting and meditating and fasting. They are enjoying with Krishna, going to the forest, playing, eating all kinds of varieties of food stuff, playing. And these cowherd girls, they are enjoying with Krishna. And the parents of Krishna, they are serving, they are enjoying. They were not yogis, they were not gnanis. All they do is simply glorify Krishna and enjoy life as Krishna's mercy. So that is pure enjoyment, uncontaminated enjoyment. But in this material world, the enjoyment we are having is a feverish condition enjoyment. That is why a spiritual life means there has to be a cure. You have to be working towards curing that disease. And at the same time, you see, in our temple, we are following all the sadhana. And we are also subjected to enjoyment in terms of having prasadam, nice kirtans, and dancing and festivals. We are personalists. We are not impersonalists trying to sit and meditate and kleshodhikatara, very difficult process. So Srila Prabhupada gave that glimpse of enjoyment of the spiritual world in this material world itself while working towards curing our disease. How wonderful. And then Param, Param Chadhama. Krishna is Param. He is above material modes. As I said yesterday, even though he was getting hurt by Bhishma Dev, by Bhishma's arrows, it was like he was receiving garlands. Because he's not on the bodily platform like ours. Even when he is when he is angry, like Narsimhadev, and kills the demons, they are getting delivered. Even he is, as I said, Purana Purusha, he's aging, but he is looking young. Even when he is diseased, that is a pastime. Everything is a pastime for the Lord, whether it is anger or fighting or getting diseased, like in Jagannath Puri. Lord Jagannath, before the Radha Yatra, there is a festival called Snana Yatra. So the Lord is given very nice bath, and as a result, Lord Jagannath gets fever. He gets sick with cold, and so for 15 days from that Snana Yatra, Jagannath, he would not give darshan. He would not be taking bhoga also. He would be taking medicine, and he's taken inside. I mean, his darshan is closed. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to another temple, Alalnad, which is 13 miles away from Puri, for his darshan. So that is also a pastime of the Lord. And then he comes back for darshan, and then you'll see so much of rush going to take darshan of the Lord. So you see, everything is a pastime for the Lord. In Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, there are so many pastimes which appear like ordinary pastimes of a boy and a girl or small boys and parents chastising small kids, which appear mundane, but they are all spiritually blissful pastimes. They're not of material world, material nature. This is transcendental. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.